begins.
It's exactly the type of football we're looking for.
Guess who just got back today? Training camp got started for the Panthers this week. And tonight we have a complete rundown of all that went down.
Going in to attack this challenge, man. You know, we got to go out and prove to everybody that this is not the Panthers no more, the old sorry Panthers.
Spread the word around. So get comfy. Guess who's back in town? Because they're back in town. Charlotte Sports Live starts now. You spread the word around.
Now it's CSL, Charlotte Sports Live.
The Panthers are back in town, and I'm sure you guys have noticed we got a new face in town. Welcome to Charlotte Sports Live. I'm Mike Lissette, and making his CSL debut is this man right here. Say hello, everybody, to Joey Ellis.
I'm glad to be here and be with the wily vet yourself to lead me through here.
Old man, yes.
Oh, stop that.
Old man, young man.
First CSL here. Glad to be here. Glad to break down the week that was on the show tonight. It's a recap of the worst soccer match ever seen, at least according to a certain Charlotte FC coach. We will also look back on the career of a Panthers legend, as well as a Panthers legend that never was until he became one in a different line of work. But speaking of work, that is exactly what the Panthers did last week.
Oh, they certainly did. It happened after all the talk. Training camp began this past Wednesday. All the familiar faces were there, as well as a lot of new ones. All of them were united under the common goal to turn things around after the 2-win season last year. First-year head coach Dave Canales knows it's going to take time, but says so far his team is off to a great start.
We definitely as a staff have to hone in on where do our players look most comfortable? Where are they playing the fastest? Those runs, those passes, those coverages, those pressures, those are the things we will become. My message to the teams, we will become us at some point in this camp. They'll feel it. They'll feel the comfort, they'll feel the aggression, they'll feel the attack mindset and the things they're comfortable with. So the teaching part, yes, but also we really got to start to hone in on those things that are going to make us who we are.
So how many wins do you think they're going to get this year? Just kidding. No, but seriously, what are your first impressions of the team in terms of seeing them up close for the first time in your life?
In my life so far, I'm impressed. Obviously, it's a new regime with Dave Canales, and it seems like they're saying all the right things, doing all the right things. Granted, you're not going 17-0 in the preseason, especially for a team that was 2-15.
Well, it's kind of hard to do that when they only play 3 games.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Exactly. But that said, been impressed with them. It seems like they've got a lot of impressive pieces, and it seems like they're doing the right things. They're buying into the things they need to be buying into, and he seems like the guy to be leading this new regime for them. The
great Mike Tyson, the philosopher that is Mike Tyson, did have a phrase, though, and I'm sure you know it. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. They're saying all the right things, but the real test to see how far this team has come will be how they do after losses, how they do when things don't go well. Right now, it's really easy to look very good when the guy you're playing with is wearing the same uniform. So, again, very good start, but before we start saying, you know, it's playoffs or bust, we've got to see them in actual competition.
Still a lot more work to get to that actual competition. This is what we got. Olympics game. Hard to believe it's first ever Olympics game, isn't it?
Yeah, it was hard to believe. You know, it's interesting. I'm not sold on this Team USA team winning the gold. There's just so many talented teams in the Olympics, and this team is still gelling. There were 2 things that happened that broke this game open. The first thing was the fact that Kevin Durant went 10 for 10 on the floor.
That helps.
In the first half. That was amazing. LeBron also went 3 for 3, so your 2 big stars were 13 for 13. That broke the game open. But what really impressed me about this team was, in the second half in particular, the way they were able to catch Serbia off guard with their transition offense. Serbia may very well have good transition defense, but against the U.S., it was no match. This was the thing that gave the U.S. the big advantage in the '92 Olympics, was the way they were able to get on the break. Other teams just couldn't match it.
It'll be interesting to see what they do Wednesday now. I guess they get South Sudan.
Yeah, that was a
the
team
who nearly beat them.
And that took them to the limit. I mean, again, there's just so much talent in these games. And on the one hand, the good thing for them is there is a number of guys on a nightly basis. If Kevin Durant's not having it, LeBron's going to step up. If LeBron doesn't have it, then you got Steph Curry
Jason
who
Tatum
can
didn't
step
even
up.
play today either. So how about that?
It should be interesting to see what happens.
Absolutely.
Well, now to another sport the U.S. has a major advantage in. Today was the first day of the women's gymnastics competition happening in Paris. Somewhat concerning moment happened when Simone Biles was visibly in pain after a tough landing. She still managed to power through, and the team says she is doing well. Our Jayla Washington looks back on the team's performance. Charlotte Hornets games are going to sound a lot differently this year. Earlier this week, their longtime PA announcer Pat Dowdy unexpectedly passed away. Big Pat had a big heart, and I learned that firsthand as I got to know him over the last couple of years. Big Pat was 55 years old. Our thoughts go out to his family and everyone who knew him. Well, Carolina's defense underwent a lot of changes this past offseason, but there is one familiar face in the secondary that is absolutely brimming with confidence. Well, some know him as a reality TV host, others an actor. Most know him, though, as a pro wrestling legend. However, there may be some people who know Bill Goldberg for his first sport. That would be football, and a very short part of his career was spent here in Carolina. Experience was not a good one, though, as it actually be the last stop during his run in the NFL. And as he told me recently, it is not an easy thing for him to talk about. Who's next was the question Bill Goldberg would ask in his wrestling days. But in regard to his football career, the better question to ask him would be, who's first?
Oh, yeah, that's what I hang my hat on. Yeah, that's how people know me in Carolina, for sure.
You've seen it the way he performs.
He's being sarcastic, of course, but there is a bit of truth in what he's saying. After all, Goldberg, of all people, was the surprising answer to a unique piece of Carolina Panthers history.
I try to repress the bad things in my memory, but I think I was with them for like 3 weeks.
Oh, here we go.
That's because, in fact, Bill Goldberg, the WWE Hall of Famer, was the first player the Panthers ever cut.
I didn't keep in touch. It was out of sight, out of mind thing. It was tough for me. It was really tough.
It was the spring of 1995, and the Panthers, under head coach Dom Capers, were preparing for their inaugural season. Just a couple of months earlier, they had taken Goldberg in the expansion draft, hoping the 3-year veteran defensive tackle could make an impact. There was just one problem.
So I just ripped my abdomen off of my pelvis. Yeah, I don't think that they had any knowledge of my surgery that I had just gone through. And that's the reason why the Falcons put me on the supplemental list.
Goldberg knew he was not the same player he once was, and it didn't take long for the Panthers to figure that out. However, interestingly enough, it was Goldberg who ultimately pulled the plug.
I had no shot whatsoever. I was just wasting my time.
That was the beginning of the end of his football career. Within 3 years, Goldberg was a main event star in wrestling shows, including some in Charlotte, which he admits wasn't easy.
It brought back some memories that weren't too fond, but I had turned it on its head, and I won that battle. I believe.
1, 2, 3.
Granted, there's a part of him that still longs to play the game that was his first love. However, as far as consolation prizes go, this former Panther didn't do all that bad.
I must tell you about an autograph signing that I had in Dallas, and Capers was, I don't know, like 8 or 9 people down from me, and I signed an autograph for him, and I sent it down, and I watched him look at it and look over to me, and there's this like the funniest bewildering look I've ever seen in my life, and then the light went off, and it was hilarious.
Bill Goldberg was first, all right, but in a different line of work, he made it work to become a legend. And Goldberg's football dreams may have come to an end, but in a way they live on for him through his son, who now plays for Deion Sanders at Colorado.